I want to share with you guys a little bit, first just orientate you a little bit with what the Pipestone system is, then I want to talk to you a little bit about our approach to research, and then finally just share with you one of our more recent trials that we did with BI to help improve our confidence in one of their products. Just a little history at Pipestone. The Pipestone system was formed by the Pipestone Veterinary Clinic, which started back in 1942 with an old senior veterinarian called Dr. Kennedy. And this man, if there's one thing I respect about him, is he changed. And he changed as things changed. He found ways to survive. The motivation to develop what is now the Pipestone system was just to have a swine industry in southwest Minnesota survive. With changing things in the 80s, a couple veterinarians there recognized if they didn't do something different, they didn't need 2 veterinarians, they're going to be down to 1. So in 1994, when I joined, there were 3 veterinarians. Now today we have 18 veterinarians. Of those 18, we have 3 that just do small animal work. We have 4 that do mixed animal practice, and we have 11 of us that do just swine work. We managed our first farm in 1990. That was a gilt multiplication farm to provide gilts to the changing times. The people there recognized that they needed more productive animals to be competitive, and somebody had to take the role to raise them, and so they did that. And from that first farm, today we manage 46 sow farms. There's 140,000 sows that we manage. Those farms are owned by farmers. We have a very minority or small ownership interest in those farms. Those farmers pay us and give us the checkbook and tell us, run the farm. And if you want to know about and feel like you've got the confidence of somebody, when they give you the checkbook and say, run our farm, here's the checkbook, just give us financial reports every month, it's really humbling for us. We also manage just a small number of pigs, about 350,000 pigs. That's not our core focus, but there's pigs in our system that need to be managed, and so we do that. We got 2 brands. We've got the Pipestone Veterinary Clinic, and that's our veterinary business, and we've got the Pipestone System, and that's our sow management company. We've got 2 locations. Our home location is in Pipestone, Minnesota. That's on the western fringe of the Corn Belt, right next to South Dakota. And then 5 years ago, we built a new practice in Independence, Iowa, on the eastern side of the Corn Belt for us. And we did that mainly because we had a high concentration of managed sows over there. We had one of our younger veterinarians, Dr. Schmidt, who was from that region and really had a passion to get back there. And that's been a really nice fit for us. We've got a mission. This is our mission, and we make decisions based on this. Our mission is to help farmers today create the farms tomorrow. When we look at business opportunities, if they don't fit into this, we'll turn away from them. We've got values, our values, and every company has their values, and they're proud of them. I would just say we really try and live by these, and we try and instill those into the more than 650 employees we've got managing these farms. So, change, this is a quote I like. Actually, I haven't looked at this for a couple of years, but it's going through some slide decks, and I really like this. When the rate of external change exceeds the rate of internal change, the end of your business is in sight. And that's one thing we think about. We're always trying to think about how do we stay in this business, how do we stay competitive for these farmers, how do we make sure they got a place in this industry, and that's what's going to lead into some of the decisions we made regarding research. Kind of looking at the production system, the swine production model of the U.S., and this may be boring for some of you, but it's a good reminder for me because traditionally there were family farms that owned sows. They had land. They had 60 to 200 sows in our region. They farrowed twice a year. They took the manure, applied it to the land, used seasonal labor. 28 years ago when I worked for my grandpa, my uncle on their farm, that's what we did. I remember having sows in loose housing. I remember scraping pens with skid loaders. I remember every Saturday hauling manure to the fields, whether the ground was froze or thawed. I remember that. And really our system is built around these people. Those people knew they didn't want to work that lifestyle, live that lifestyle forever, so they sold their sows and joined the system. Today, our system, like much of your systems, I'm sure, larger sow farms, all our farms are farrow to wean farms. We don't have any feeder pigs or farrow to finish farms. Our goal is to make bigger flows, fill facilities in one delivery, and try and pick up on some of those efficiencies. And because of our focus, we're able to deliver that to our producers. We went from the old traditional farrow to finish production sites to one sow farm, 3-site production. I would say 80% of our system is 3-site production today. A big part of that, we're trying to capture the all-in, all-out by sites and try and bring those advantages to our producers. The problem, or not the problem, the delay with that is just being able to grow and get those sites to one age group. What I would say to you, and this is a little on the macro side, but we should be proud of what we do. If you look from 1959, and this slide was put out by the Pork Checkoff, but from 1959 to 2009, what's the swine industry done? We've increased our hogs marketed by 29%, but our breeding herds went down by almost 40%. Unreal. Over twice the carcass weight sold per sow per year. Feed efficiencies improved more than 33%. The water used to produce a pound of pork has been reduced by 41%. The total land used to raise the pork we do today versus 50 years ago has been reduced by 59%. Our carbon footprint has been reduced by 35%. We should be proud and not ashamed to talk about that to the public. When they talk about ways they want us to raise pigs, they are not figuring out what it takes to run the world, and these are the things that they need to be presented by you guys and us. So, and if you look at the line of productivity improvement in our country, in swine production and other things, it's 2 to 3% every year, year after year. The line is linear. And that's not coming without effort. So, what's our job at Pipestone? Our job is really to farrow sows and make large groups of high-quality wean pigs like this. And then once or twice or 3 times a week, we load them up on trailers like this, haul them across the country to our producers, deliver them to sites like this, nurseries, and wean to finish barns. Most of our older stuff is nurseries because producers remodeled their existing farrow to finish operations, made farrowing into nurseries, made nurseries into nurseries. So a lot of the older stuff was this, and a lot of the newer stuff, probably the same for you guys, is this, wean to finish models. And so, but that's our job. Our job is to deliver them high-quality pigs, and then our goal is to raise pigs like this. And the thing I want to talk a little bit about on these pigs is the emphasis we've got to make sure that we're doing this job, raising these animals, as efficient as possible. So when you look at what we do, we have management contracts for these farmers to take care of the daughter nucleus farms, the multiplication farms, and the sow farms. Then we deliver the pigs to the farmers. They own the pigs. They own this, this, and this. They just hire us to run these. But they own this part of the operation. They care for these animals. We manage a very, very low percentage of this. Probably less than 3% of our system is managed by us. The rest of the farmers do. And so our job is right here to deliver them as high a quality wean pig as possible. And then our role and responsibility, too, is to help them on this end, because not a lot of other people are, to help them find the way to be efficient on this end. Just because they get a good pig doesn't mean they're efficient. And they have a lot of competitive advantages, but we all know you can give away all your competitive advantages if you don't take advantage of the efficiencies. So our job is to educate and find their way to be efficient here as well. So when we talk about disease in our clinic, we throw them into 3 buckets. We try not to make things too complicated. The more complicated we make it, the less successful we are at treating them. We basically look at respiratory disease, enteric disease, and systemic disease, or the bacterials, the suises. And just when we get a lot of bacterial pneumonias and things like that, we don't really focus a lot on that specific pneumonia. We focus more on the environment that's probably causing that. The respiratory enteric stuff, I'll talk a little bit more here in a second. One of our primary diseases affecting the respiratory tract that we think is critical, and probably everybody in this room does, is PRRS. We estimate that this costs us $5 to $7 per pig to run a PRRS positive flow. We focused a lot in the last 3 years. Our goal is to deliver PRRS negative pigs to every one of our producers. And when we deliver that, if we're going to deliver those pigs into a high-risk area, very simple decision for us. We encourage them to vaccinate. Our level of confidence with that is quite high. If we are going to deliver them into a low-risk area, PRRS negative pigs, we leave those pigs unvaccinated. And we can have good success keeping them negative if we're in low pig dense regions. Unfortunately, most of the pigs we deal with are in high pig dense regions. The second thing is regarding PRRS, if we can't make negative pigs out of sow farms, and we have some sow farms that we can talk about it, we just can't get it done because of lateral infection or lateral risk, we just give it, we don't give up, but we give up, and we reside on vaccine. And in those systems, we deliver PRRS positive vaccinated pigs at day 5 with MLV vaccine. In our experience, our data would say that's a very successful program for those farms. Our goal is to move away from having to do this, and that's why, I'll talk a little bit later why we resorted to a couple things we've had to resort to. The tools we've got to make negative wean pigs, location. The good thing is we have a lot of locations that are in low pig dense regions. The bad thing is we built a lot of farms in low pig dense regions that are now high pig dense regions. And so because of that, what was once a good sow farm that only broke with PRRS every 5 or 7 years now breaks with PRRS every year, and has made that farm, unsustainable at that break rate. We also have done a lot of work with prevention with filters, and we're not going to talk about that in detail today. For us, filters have been a very nice way to make farms that we were going to have to change into nurseries and finishers into now viable sow farms. We've been involved in 3 large studies. One that's published, was funded by the USDA. All 3 of our databases regarding the filtered farms are consistent. They reduce break rates by 7 to 9 times. 7 to 9 times. So even though we've had filtered farms break, which is very frustrating, in reality it's not perfect, and we've been investigating the reasons why those farms have broke, but still for us, they've really allowed us to salvage some farms that we'd have had to otherwise close or sell. And the last tool we've got is eliminating PRRS from positive farms. We're very confident we can do that. We can eliminate PRRS from positive farms if we close them for 240 days. Last year, 11 of 13 farms we were successful on, 2 of 13 we failed on. And so we're confident we can get sow farms to making negative pigs. And when they do that, we have different programs for those offspring depending on where they're going to be. With Mycoplasma, that's the second respiratory disease we deal with. We estimate that costs $2 to $7 per pig, and I think our outlook on sow farms, we may be a little past dated because we've looked at them and said our sow farms are positive, we can't keep them negative, so we're just going to live with them positive. Vaccines are highly effective, we're just going to vaccinate the pigs. And with that program, I would just say Mycoplasma for us a very small point on the radar. But we may look at that differently in the future and try and focus on more negative sow farms. With influenza, our third big respiratory disease that we deal with, our goal is to deliver negative pigs. I know in our system, we've been monitoring for 1.5 years now, every single farm for once a month. Our farm contamination rate is what I would call is 30 to 70%, depending on the season. Very difficult for us to deliver negative influenza pigs on a consistent basis. And so right now we know that, and now we're trying to figure out what's the best strategy to change that and to determine if it's even possible. Influenza is a huge challenge for us. So I want to talk a little bit about gut disease, and this is a nice slide by the Iowa State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab summarizing their cases that they've received, and I forget the year, I think this is 2009. But if we look at the number 1 and number 2 gut diseases that Iowa State's had in their diagnostic lab, salmonella is number 1, and ileitis is number 2. And I would share with you, for us, on the grow finish and looking at our performance and the effects on really what I want to talk about is feed conversion and gut health. Ileitis is a huge factor for us. That's a disease we want to control. Salmonella as well, it just seems like it's lesser of an issue for us than ileitis. For us, every single group of pigs, I would say, is contaminated with ileitis. Every group of pigs for us is contaminated with salmonella, but I think our environments are good enough, they're not stressed enough to create clinical disease. And so we may have subclinical salmonella, but and not clinical. Just a reminder, and these slide sets, I don't know, I was working with Tom and Mike a while ago, and I didn't update them, but as of 7/20/2012, corn was $7.81. Today for us, at least 40 cents higher than that. Soybean meal is $5.41. Today is probably $10 a ton higher than that. DDG is $2.78. And so when I looked at feed costs from wean to 270 pounds, just a standard weight that we would use to look at costs, it was $127 at that time. Today, with the increased corn prices, this number is well over $130. And so, as you know, the focus here is all about feed, right? The nutritionists win. Us veterinarians, we kind of get second role, maybe third or fourth, but it's all about the feed, and it's all about how to get those pigs to convert that feed into weight. And so that is where the veterinarians can fit in, is to help keep that gut healthy. So with salmonella, salmonella collar-suis, salmonella typhimurium, we would just look at it and say all our pigs have it. It's just whether or not they get stressed out enough to have clinical disease. The points I would make about salmonella for us is just that, one, we want to avoid it. Because when we have salmonella, I would tell you for us, it's dang near impossible to make money. We just don't have the margin, so we got to have those pigs clean or salmonella in control. When we look at groups that break with salmonella, we're always looking at stresses. Those pigs are most likely stressed. They're carrying it. They get stressed. You have shedders, then you have a contamination problem. So first stress, then shed, then contamination. So we really focus on mitigating the stress factor making those pigs have clinical disease. But then also for us, when pigs get salmonella collar-suis, the cost to treat that disease is very expensive. And so when we have pigs in a flow get collar-suis, it's a very simple decision for us. We just vaccinate them. Our level of confidence in SC54 controlling salmonella collar-suis type C is very high. And so we would just vaccinate. And then for typhimurium, for that we will vaccinate and use feed meds to get that cleaned up. But I guess my message would be salmonella, bad disease, hard to make money with it. Vaccine's very effective and easy decision to use it. And the feed meds can help as well. Looking at ileitis, we would consider all our pigs to be positive for ileitis. And whether they're getting contaminated from the sow herd, which is likely, or our environments, which is likely as well, we just think control for ileitis in all our flows is critical. Every single gilt we've got in our system is vaccinated at least twice, once when they're young, once prior to breeding, and every single growing pig, and I say every single one that's loosely, every single pig we manage is vaccinated, has been for the last 3 to 4 years, and I would say greater than 50% of our system is vaccinated pigs for ileitis. I would say my experience in the last 4 years is very high on the vaccine. The number of clinical cases we've got to treat post-vaccination is very, very low. And with ileitis, we all know what the acute form looks like when we get the bloody diarrhea. We all know what the chronic form looks like when we have the sloppy, puddly, yellow cow pie stools. What we often don't consider is the subclinical ileitis, which, you know, there's good data to support that if groups of pigs seroconvert for ileitis, you can document lost performance. And for us, nearly every group does. And so that's why we're focused on controlling the ileitis. Our enteric philosophy, our gut control philosophy is for ileitis, we're going to vaccinate the pigs. I just explained that. Easy decision for us, and I'll show you why later, which really we did after we felt like we had confidence in the vaccine. For salmonella, we're definitely going to vaccinate pigs if we have collar-suis issues. And for E. coli, we'll use vaccine as well if we have hemolytic E. coli in nurseries. Medication, we really focus our feed med plans towards the gut. Again, just because we're driving for gut health. We can't predict most of our respiratory breaks, but the gut health we think is more predictable, and so we really focus on our med plans to protect our gut. This is a pretty standard program that we use, and it doesn't. I'm not endorsing any of these products. You guys may use some other things, and they may be better. If you're doing something better, don't embarrass me up here. Just maybe tell me afterwards. But my point is, these gut plans for us are designed around these feed med plans are designed around the gut. we don't change our feed med plans more than once or twice a year unless we have some specific outbreak. But once we're on a plan that's designed, we protect the gut and we really drive for feed conversion. We don't like to spend a lot of money on our feed meds. One thing here you see, we do no medication here in the mid to late nursery so we can get our pigs vaccinated. There is data released now that you can actually feed Stay-Fac in that phase. I don't know if we'll adopt that or not, but this here plan is one that we would use across a lot of pigs and get very good feed performance on it. As with you guys, the focus is on the feeders. I'm not particularly proud of the tube feeder here, guys, but what I would say, despite all the uproar in the last 3 years and how we should junk them all, which I would never buy one, but I would also say our best closeouts the last couple of years, our best one, not as a group, have been off tube feeders with very impressive feed conversions. So I think they can work. You just need to manage them. But I wouldn't necessarily endorse putting them in. But our focus is on those feeders. So that's a little bit about how we're handling some things. I want to share with you a little bit our approach towards research. And I would say the one thing I appreciate about the Pipestone Veterinary Clinic when I joined it in 1994 is they were an information-driven clinic. Not to the level of a statistician. We weren't statisticians, but in their business they were interested in sows and sow production. And in the old days, Pig Champ was the record model that a lot of people used. And what I liked about them is they had a very nice database, 30, 40 farms using Pig Champ records. They reviewed those records with producers and pushed them to improve. And so a very information-driven clinic. On the grow finish side, we use spreadsheets, and that was the weakness. Weakness of the industry, I would say. The larger companies, you guys build your own record systems that are tailored to your company, so you have good information. But for a lot of us smaller independents, we either used our own spreadsheets, or they didn't use records, or they guessed, or heaven forbid, they had the feed service guy doing the records for them. And so in the old days, we had poor grow finish records, but very good Pig Champ records. And really my point is, this clinic was driven towards information. That was my attraction to them. The research in the old days, and I say old days, they weren't so long ago, we relied on on-farm trials. And I would just say on-farm trials, as you guys, some of you might be laughing at me, they've got limitations. I would just say I don't think we revert back to more than 5 on-farm trials that we'd give any significant credibility to. And we were the ones doing it, right? We did the on-farm trials to learn. Today we just look at them and go, you know, we can't make any good decisions with that stuff. We also relied on relationships with universities. And the universities have a very nice role and very nice place, but they're doing less applied research. And that's for different reasons. And so that relationship, though in the late 90s and early 2000s, I think they helped push us along. It's harder to get good applied research from the universities. And so that's why we've had to look at things differently as well. And then also vendors providing research. But there too, no offense to the vendors. They're just trying to help you understand their product, help you with some research. But ultimately, I would just say I can't say we've got a lot of great research that we've done. It's a way to get exposed to their product, probably not a great way to make a good decision. So in 2009, we recognized and said, you know, the companies that are really moving ahead are research focused. We've got an appreciation for that, but we're not very organized. We weren't organized at all. And so we said we got to figure this out. We got to get better with our research to make better decisions for our system. And so we formed a committee, and today Dr. Scott D., who is with the University of Minnesota, a tenured professor, he joined our clinic a year ago. He's our director today of our research committee. We've got Dr. Joel Neeram, who I would really call just a biosecurity expert, very knowledgeable in biosecurity. Dr. Spencer Wayne, PhD, veterinarian, understands stats. I would just say a numbers whiz, can sort data and do statistics. Dr. Cameron Schmidt, Iowa State grad with a master's in bacteriology. Myself and our CEO, and then Dan Hansen, who really does the bulk of the work. We got a focus group. We meet regularly. We talk about topics we should investigate. We make a laundry list of things we want to investigate. We prioritize them. The interesting thing is usually half the stuff we put on the list, eventually we can just scratch off. Either somebody else figured it out or we decided it wasn't important. But we're focused on what's important, and we're focused on what drives the bottom line, and we're focused on what drives the bottom line for the guys growing these grow-finished pigs, our clients. Research and information today, for us, was critical. One, it's got to be timely. We got to know the answers early. We want to know about products before they're available or shortly after they're available and make decisions if they'll help our system. The research has got to be very precise, right? What did I say the most important measure is probably in profitability? Feed conversion today. Feed conversion. If we improve feed conversion by 1%, it's worth $1.35 per pig. Research trials have got to be designed for precise measurement. And so we're talking about trying to measure 1, 2, 3% differences. That is very precise. And it's so important because if we find that in feed conversion, we can make a good decision. They're complex. Most of the research trials today are, we look at what we did 5 years ago compared to what we're trying to do today. They're definitely more complex. The other thing is our partners. We've got partners in research, and for our partners, we're looking at people that are innovative. We're partnering with companies that bring new products, bring new thoughts, and most importantly, they're willing to lay it on the line. If they won't lay it on the line with their product and take the chance it could lose, then we probably don't want to partner with them. We just want to know the truth. And our goal is we want our partners to get better because our partners, our vendors, they make us better. If we can help make them better, we both win. And I would just emphasize that's something that some people don't view vendors as partners. And actually, if they didn't help bring new things to us, who would be doing this today? So we got to be thinking about that. They're capitalists just like you and I, but we appreciate that. But if they make us better, we want to make them better. And then collaboration with other companies. Our perspective on research, we want new products supported by data. One thing that drives us nuts is when somebody comes with a new product and they're talking about 10 pigs. We want large studies with a high level of confidence. We want statistically supported differences. We don't want numeric differences. And we want data. We want to avoid internal biases with our research. We got a lot of veterinarians. We got a lot of really strong production people. We work with a couple nutritionists. And what's amazing, you have all these smart people, and we all have strong opinions, and we are all wrong at times. And so we've learned, and I've been one of the guys humbled. I had a strong opinion on something. I thought I was right. A year later I learned, I wasn't right on that one. And so we want to eliminate the biases. We want to put them to rest with research. And we also have to recognize that with our research, there's limitations. Research done in our research barn doesn't necessarily equal the commercial output. And the number that with the people I collaborate with, they say, well, on the average, we'd expect 70% of the outcome in the field. And I would just say, from our experience, we would be close to that too, depending on the measure. There's some measures that I think you actually get more effect in the field. But you have to recognize it is under a research environment, and so you're not going to get a one-to-one experience field to research barn. The other limitations of research is when we do collaborate with other systems, their data doesn't necessarily fit our system. Our data doesn't necessarily fit their system. So there's limitations there. We definitely want to create value with creation of new information. I feel very good that we've got information that's helped improve us, and we want to develop intellectual property. The stuff we know we don't necessarily want to share with the other guys, and I'm sure they aren't sharing the stuff they know with us, and sometimes it'd be nice to share, and sometimes it's just probably better not to. This is our research investment. This is our diagram of our research barn, guys, and we have two of these. It's just a basic 2,400 head double wide barn, designed with a scale, and set up with dry feeders, cup waters, and our goal was we wanted the facility to mimic as close to commercial production as we could. The pigs that we use in testing these barns are pigs out of our system. They're PRRS positive, mycoplasma, influenza positive pigs, And so those are the animals we're putting into the research conditions to try and best mimic real life for us. Our perspective on our partners, as I said before, they got to be innovative, come with new products, willing to collaborate, share our values, have a joint mission to improve. That's the most important thing I want to emphasize. We had opportunities to do research with different people, and the ones that we chose to do it with were the ones that we felt they wanted to improve as much as we did, and we felt if we helped them improve, they would help us improve. And the one thing, we didn't want to do feed research. And initially, you know, the big round and discussion was we got to understand this feed, and the problem for us is that there's already people and nutrition companies doing that. We're always going to be a day late and a dollar short if we chase the feed thing. We wanted to work on the things that we felt nobody else was looking at, and things that we could bring to help our clients and our system. So area of interest for us in research, animal health. We've done PRRS studies. We've done an ileitis trial. We've looked at mycoplasma. We've looked at the circovirus vaccines. We've already got preliminary stuff on all our important questions done on those 4 major diseases. We will have more questions, but our primary questions on those, we feel very comfortable with the answers we've gotten. We're looking at biosecurity measures. We checked off the list a whole bunch of biosecurity risks. Myth or truth? You know, there's a lot of stuff. You know, one of my pet peeves, well, I shouldn't say it, but a lot of good production people hurt because of the veterinarians saying that they, and blame the production people for having moved diseases, like PRRS. I remember those days when I was defending production people from other people that were blaming them for having moved diseases into farms. Just flat wasn't true. And so we put a lot of those myths to bed. Air filtration. We've done a tremendous amount of research on air filtration. Why? We've invested 70,000 spaces of filtered sow farms. We got a lot of pressure by guys like you out there saying how it's not going to work, or how it's going to work, or Barry doesn't work. You know, we had one farm break, and hell, the whole industry said it failed. Well, we had 13 that didn't. And so we've done a lot of investigation on this to help understand why these farms do fail when they fail. And I would just say, without going into a lot of detail, you guys, there's a boatload of virus challenge on your farms every day. There's virus around these farms every day. And that is something that I feel like we understand very well. It's something that I think the industry is getting a better handle on, but there's a lot of challenge. Manure, we've done a lot of research on manure. When do we see the incidence of PRRS breaks go up? At the time of manure application, right? Manure is a risk. It's a risk. We've studied genetics. We've worked with our genetic companies. They put it on the line. We asked them to. They did. We've learned, I think we know some things that have helped them. Animal welfare things are areas of interest: meat quality, energy, and feed presentation. So, our most recent trial, and this is just one trial I was going to share with you guys, is regarding ileitis vaccine. And as I said before, our managed pigs for the last 3 or 4 years, I forget the time, but we vaccinated every single group of pigs. And I can tell you, I can count on one hand how many times I had to go back and treat those pigs orally with an oral med because it failed. So our level of confidence was high, but we always have questions about the cost, and we're always tempted to try and do something different, and we're always trying to figure out a penny, which I would say that I'd be a little critical of it sometimes too, is we're all trying to save a penny, we waste $1, learning the hard way. So on our ileitis trial, we ran it through one of our commercial barns here, and we did a pen level study, and our primary objective was to measure the feed efficiency. We measured everything else, but we knew that was where we could document the economic benefit if it was there to justify the vaccine. So in our trial, we just finished it up in December of 2011, so it's only about 7 months old. We had 2,080 pigs. Those pigs were from 2 of our sow farms. We did that primarily just to accelerate the fill so we get the pigs all there. Pigs were weighed and allocated into 2 treatment groups. The one treatment group was going to be vaccinated. They were in one room. And our barn is designed so we can shower in, shower out. The rooms are locked down. And so those animals were vaccinated in one room. The other room was not vaccinated. 40 days And so we had 40 pens of 26 pigs that were vaccinated with ileitis on day 0 of the trial and fed 10 grams of stay fat per ton until on day 40 until 120. They were vaccinated on day 0, and then at day 40 we started feeding the stay fat. And they were compared to 40 pens of pigs fed the Thailand program, which was 100 grams per ton from 40 to 58 days, and 40 grams per ton until 120 days. So in that trial, we used the standard ileitis inoculum program. Dana Beckler in Minnesota, he developed the inoculum, and he inoculated the pigs for us. So basically what that means is we took 10% of the pigs, 2 or 3 pigs per pen. They orally inoculate the pigs with pathogenic Lawsonia, and then just let them go back in the pen. So that was how we got the barn inoculated. With the trial, we definitely had clinical signs of disease. And so here's really the information that was important to us. And that was we did find statistical difference in feed conversion. And this is from day -7, or prior to vaccination, until day 126. We found about 500ths difference in feed conversion, and it was statistically different. If we measured from day -7 to market, we actually found 800ths difference in feed conversion. We lost a little bit of the statistical power there, but that was really driven by the variation. When we put the pigs on Paline, these pigs were put on Paline, and with our previous trials with Paline, we see more variation. Paline creates variation at the end, and so that's why we think we lost this. But the bottom line is here, for us, if we have 800ths improvement on feed conversion, and the feed conversion is 2.70, that times the $127 per pig in pig feed from wean to finish is worth $3.76 per pig. Here's the actual summary. The med cost on the ileitis program with the stay fact was $1.29 per pig for feed and vaccine. The Thailand program was $1.54 per pig. If we look at the water treatments and injectable treatments used on these pigs, the treatment group that was vaccine had 96 cents a treatment, and the group that was treated, or that had the Thailand treatment, had 98 cents per pig treatment. The reason why those are so close is if we decided we had to water medicate the group, both treatments got water medicated. So the only little difference would be a few injectable treatment differences. So our conclusions: a Lawsonia intracellular cedar challenge model is possible in large-scale commercial studies. We did get those pigs sick. Pigs on the ileitis stay fact program had a 2.9% improvement in feed conversion. The total return on investment favored the Enersol ileitis stay fat group over the Thailand fed group by $3.05, and that was with old economics. I just added this today. With today's economics, we had a 25-cent improvement on the treatment, the vaccine, and stay fat, and we had a $3.76 advantage with today's prices, feed prices, which are outdated already. This would be over $4, I think, today, for a total advantage of $4.01 vaccine plus stay fat versus Thailand. So with this study, this is the kind of study that we're doing. This is the kind of study we need a lot of power to find 2% or 3% improvements on feed conversions, but 2 or 3% improvements are worth big dollars. And that's why we've recognized we've got to invest in high-quality research barns with a lot of pens for a lot of reps to try and find this. Otherwise, it's a lot of, I would say, opinion and experience, and those things are good but dangerous.